Hola! Hi there, I'm Elliot from Now Go See It, and welcome to beautiful Puerto Rico, San Juan. This is the first stop in a 7-night voyage with Virgin Voyages, and we're going to spend the day in San Juan showing you all the things to do, all the things to see, all the things to eat. So come with us and don't forget to like and subscribe.
To see our full port guide, scan this QR code or visit us at nowgoseeit.com. You'll find more cruise logistics for this port and other ports in the Caribbean. Before we start walking around Old San Juan, let's talk cruise logistics, because San Juan has two different ports. There's the San Juan Bay Terminal, which is the easy one for sightseeing because many of Old San Juan's main attractions are within walking distance. Then there's the Pan American Terminal across the bay, which is the one we used. From there, you'll need a taxi, Uber, or shuttle to get into Old San Juan. Depending on your cruise line, free shuttles into the city may be available. If not, a quick $10 to $15 taxi or rideshare will get you there. Old San Juan is where you'll find the concentration of sites. This is the historic core. It's where you get the forts, the old churches, the city walls, the plazas, the iconic streets, and a lot of the shopping and food that makes San Juan feel like San Juan. The historic UNESCO-listed site preserves more than 500 years of history, and the whole area works well for visitors because the major stops stack well together in a way that makes sense on foot. Our first stop is the Cathedral Basilica of St. John the Baptist, and this is not just some pretty old church you duck into because it happens to be nearby. It is Puerto Rico's grandest religious building, the seat of the Archdiocese of Puerto Rico, the oldest church on U.S. soil, and one of the oldest churches in the Western Hemisphere, with origins going back to the early 1500s. So right away, this is one of those places where the age of San Juan stops being abstract and starts feeling very real. Inside, there are a few specific things to look for, so it's more than just a quick walkthrough. The most famous is the tomb of Ponce de Leon, a Spanish explorer and the first governor of Puerto Rico. When you see that monument inside, you're looking at the burial place of one of the biggest names from the island's early Spanish colonial period. Then there's St. Pius, an early Christian martyr whose preserved body is displayed in a glass case. And that's one of the stranger and more memorable things in Old San Juan. And beyond those headline items, the building itself is worth paying attention to. The long central nave, the arches, the side chapels, the floor layout, the height of the interior, all that tells you this was built to impress and to endure. A useful detail for visitors is the cathedral's position in the city. Historically, people arriving by sea and entering through the old gate would come this way first to give thanks for a safe arrival. So the location is not random. It sits right in the path of how Old San Juan used to function when ships, religion, and empire all tied directly together. Once you know that, the church feels less like an isolated attraction and more like part of a whole system of city life in the colonial period. Next, we head to Capello de Santo Cristo de la Salud, or the Chapel of the Holy Christ of Health. This is one of those places that is cooler when you know the story. According to local legend, back in the mid-1700s, the street that currently leads to the chapel, Calle del Cristo, hosted a horse race. One rider couldn't stop his horse at the end of the street and went over the cliff. The story says a political leader of the time called out a prayer and the rider was saved. The chapel was then built in honor of that miracle. The chapel dates to the mid and late 1700s, so it has a real age behind it in addition to that local legend. What visitors experience here is not scale because it's a small chapel. What you get is atmosphere and context. It sits right near the edge of the old city in a way that reminds you that this part of San Juan was once tightly walled and sharply bonded. You're standing in a place where the dense city grid meets a sudden drop in open views. Right next to the chapel is Parque de las Palomas, and this is one of the easiest stops to understand immediately. It is Pigeon Park. There are a lot of pigeons. You can buy bird feed at the kiosk and get the full bird on your arm / bird on your head experience if that sounds like a good decision at the time. If being covered in pigeons is not for you, the overlook makes the visit worthwhile. From here, you get a strong visual sense of San Juan Bay and the edge of the old city. This is one of those compact Old San Juan combinations where 3 attractions overlap in a very small area and make the walk feel efficient. After that, lunch at Chocobar Cortez makes a lot of sense because it's not just a random restaurant with a cute dessert case. It's tied to one of the most established chocolate companies in the Caribbean. Chocolate Cortez has been manufacturing chocolate from farm to bar since 1929 for Puerto Rican and Dominican households. Chocobar Cortez is a restaurant built around chocolate and art. What you experience here is a menu that uses chocolate in ways that go way beyond dessert. There are chocolate drinks, obviously, there are pastries and sweets, obviously, but there are also savory dishes where chocolate shows up in butter, sauces, seasoning, or little flavor twists. This is where you can try the famous Puerto Rican-style hot chocolate and get the cheddar cheese cube to drop into it. The affordable prices and unique menu make it a great lunch stop. From lunch, we walk up Calle de la Cristo, and this street is worth talking about because it gives you a concentrated version of what Old San Juan does so well. Cobblestones, historic facades, balconies, churches, shops, and a layout that makes the city feel compact but layered. It's one of the better streets for understanding that Old San Juan is not preserved because it's cute, it's preserved because it was important. At the top of the street, you'll find Plaza San Juan and another monument to Ponce de Leon. And then we head into Bahia Barracks. This is one of the biggest buildings in Old San Juan. It was originally built in the mid-1800s as barracks for Spanish and Puerto Rican regiments. After the US invasion in 1898, the US infantry used it. Then during World War II, it became a hospital. And later, it was restored into the cultural complex we see today. Inside is the Museum of the Americas. And this is a smart stop if you enjoy art or just desire more cultural context. The museum's permanent exhibits include the folk arts of the Americas, African heritage, the indigenous peoples of the Americas, and the conquest and colonization, birth and evolution of the Puerto Rican nation. That is a very useful lineup for understanding the island beyond the Spanish postcard version of history. Puerto Rico is not just forts and governors, it is indigenous, African, Caribbean, Spanish, and American influences all layered together, and this museum helps make that clearer. Then we reach the biggest historic draw in Old San Juan National Historic Site. This is the place that preserves the fortification system that made San Juan one of Spain's most heavily defended cities in the Caribbean. The site preserves stories from centuries of conflict over this strategic island, and UNESCO recognizes the wider complex of La Fortaleza and the San Juan fortifications as a World Heritage Site. So when you come here, you're not just seeing a single old fort, you're seeing a centuries-old defense system with a layered history. We start with Castello San Felipe del Moro, or just Del Moro, which is the signature site. It sits on a 140-foot high promontory at the entrance to San Juan Bay, and has 6 levels facing the Atlantic, designed to unleash artillery fire on enemy ships. By the late 1700s, it had a reputation for being unconquerable. That's the history you should have in mind when you arrive. You're inside one of Spain's major military engineering statements in the Americas. And the experience here really does deliver. First, there's the huge lawn outside, which today is full of people, kites, and open sky, but soldiers once marched here. Then you approach the fort itself and go through the entrance gate, and inside you get the yellow-painted courtyard, the cannon positions, the old barrack spaces, the chapel, the lighthouse area, and those iconic stone bastions that instantly read as Puerto Rico, even if you've only ever seen them in pictures. Very close by is the Santa Maria Magdalena de Paz Cemetery. And this is one of the most photographed spots in Old San Juan because the location is so strong. The cemetery sits outside the city walls between El Morro and the Atlantic, and that setting alone makes it stand out. It dates to the 1860s and became the burial place of many notable Puerto Ricans. This stop is visually striking: white tombs, palms, ocean, stone walls, and fortifications all in one view. Then we head to Castillo San Cristobal, the second major part of the historic site. And this is where a lot of visitors realize San Juan's defensive history was even bigger than they thought. It's worth noting that once you buy a ticket to the national park, you can use the receipt to visit both of these sites multiple times across 2 days' time. So hold on to the receipt. Construction began in the 1600s and was completed by the late 1700s. While El Morro was designed to protect the city from attacks by the sea, San Cristobal guarded the land entrance. We should emphasize the scale here. San Cristobal covers about 27 acres and ranks as the largest fortification built by the Spanish in the New World. So this is not El Morro's little sidekick. This is the major fort in its own right. What you'll experience at San Cristobal is a more layered, more intricate fort. You'll walk through dark countermine tunnels where gunpowder could be used beneath attacking forces, as well as the casemates around the main plaza, those vaulted bomb-proof rooms used for barracks, storage, kitchens, and artillery support. When you walk through the tunnels and look into those huge chambers, you're seeing well thought out infrastructure. Add in the ramps, the dry moat, the gun positions, and the long views out over the coast, and the whole place feels like an enormous machine built to slow, trap, and destroy an advancing enemy. It's one of the best places in San Juan for understanding just how engineered the city's defenses really were. After the forts, we go to Puerto de San Juan, and this is one of the more satisfying stops in San Juan because it ties together the walls, the bay, and the city's old circulation patterns. The gate is 16 feet tall and 20 feet thick, and it's one of the best known entrances to the walled city. Historically, this was the water gate, the point where people entered from the bayside. Once you pass through it, you're not just walking through an old opening in a wall, you're passing through one of the main thresholds of colonial San Juan. From there, the shoreline walk is one of the best parts because you get those high stone walls from below and the water beside you. It's a different perspective from the forts and helps you understand the city as a complete defensive edge. This stretch also leads naturally toward the Roots Fountain and the Paseo de la Princesa, which is one of the most visitor-friendly walks in Old San Juan. Paseo de la Princesa is a must-do boardwalk lined with lampposts, fountains, vendors, and views over San Juan Bay. Beginning or ending at the historic gate, that's pretty much exactly why it works so well late in the day. You get history, people watching, views, and a little break from the tighter street grid. The Roots Fountain symbolizes the roots of Puerto Rican identity, especially the Taino, Spanish, and African heritage. This is a useful spot to pause and understand that everything you've been seeing all day, the churches, forts, plazas, streets, and food, come out of a mixed cultural history. Puerto Rico is not one-story history, and this fountain is one of the cleaner visual reminders of that. Then along Paseo de la Princesa, you usually get tented stalls and vendors selling souvenirs and crafts, which makes it a practical shopping stretch too. You can learn something, enjoy the walk, and still buy your magnet, coffee, or hand-painted frog before getting back on the ship. There's more shopping and dining up on Calle de la Fortaleza, and that street is useful for visitors because it brings the historic setting into present-day city life. You're still in Old San Juan, still in the old fabric of the city, but you're now also in one of the busier retail and restaurant corridors. It's a good place for a snack, a coffee, a little browsing, or just taking in how this old colonial core still functions as an active urban neighborhood instead of a dead museum district. We ended Plaza Colón, and this is the good finish because it feels like a proper city square payoff. The Columbus Monument gives the plaza its formal centerpiece. Across the street is Teatro Tapia, a theater with an elliptical design and one of Old San Juan's key cultural venues. And yes, this is also one of those squares where random chickens will come out to meet you. And then it's back to the Pan American Pier to board the ship, and that's really the big takeaway for visitors planning this day. San Juan works extremely well for cruise passengers because the main historic sites are dense, memorable, and varied. You're not stuck choosing between one good attraction and a bunch of filler. Old San Juan gives you serious history, strong visuals, easy walking logistics, and enough food and shopping options to keep the day fun instead of feeling like homework. If you're sailing from here, ending here, or stopping here, this is one of the best cruise city days in the Caribbean because it feels substantial. You really get something with your time. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and keep watching because we've got more cruise ports, city walks, and practical travel guides. And for even more details, maps, and planning info to make your San Juan day easier, scan this QR code or head over to nowgoseeit.com. Now go see San Juan, Puerto Rico.